Well, second movie that I'm doing Cabot Circus in as many months as before. Today we're watching Captain America Civil War. Now this has been touted as the movie that Dawn of Justice should have been. No comment on that one. Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. returning as Captain America and Iron Man respectively, and the debut of Tom Holland as Peter Parker Spider-Man in the MCU universe. Was that? Yeah, that was just kind of a double negative there. But anyway, I've heard good things. We shall find out in 2.5 hours. Peace. And now for the spoiler version of the Captain America Civil War review, aka Avengers 3, Avengers Divided. I'm going to get into performances. I don't think anybody turned in a bad performance whatsoever. You see both sides of the situation on this. You understand why Tony Stark, Rhodey, Vision, and Black Panther all want to have this Sokovia Accord signed, which is basically a movie adaptation version of the Superhuman Registration Act, which they couldn't do for this because X-Men are over at Fox, so they had to bring in something that would be in more or less in line with the first two Avengers movies, which is the consequences of the actions of what's happened in New York and Sokovia. Tony Stark feels guilty when a mother who had lost a teenage son in the aftermath of what happened at Sokovia, where a building was dropped down on him, and Stark, really feels this pushing down on his shoulders. And after what happened in the Avengers' latest mission, where unfortunately building offices were set alight due to Crossbones being blown up with Scarlet Witch containing the blast to keep as far away from Captain America. Whereas Cap has the perspective of, yeah, what happened was screwed up, but the thing is, if we sign this bill, if we agree to it, we are giving up our right to be able to make choices for ourselves, rather than being able to make the call ourselves of what we think is right and wrong. And he thinks 9 times out of 10 we make the right call, which is kind of a play on what goes on a lot in politics, but I'm not going to get into that here, but everyone knows what I'm talking about. Chris Evans, he's just flawless once again as Marvel's righteous man. You see his reasons for why he wants to keep Bucky Barnes out of harm's way, and Sebastian Stan, I think that's his name. You do sympathize a lot with what happens to him, because what happens when key words are said to him, his body is a vehicle, and another consciousness in his head takes over, and he just goes to town whilst Bucky's taking a back seat. I liked the advancement in Vision's character, where he kind of doesn't know where his boundaries lie. The way he just sort of materializes through the walls, which I'm glad that they actually brought that in, because you didn't see any of that during Age of Ultron. When you see Tony find out that it was Bucky that, whilst under the influence of someone else and not in control, that it was him who killed his parents, you see angry Tony Stark. Angry Stark in a way that I don't think anybody's ever seen on screen. I mean, we've seen Tony mad before, but this is Tony livid. And when he realizes what's happened, I was getting Bruce Wayne flashbacks, because he basically turns into Iron Batman and he just goes absolutely insane mad on Bucky. But given the circumstances, I don't think too many people could blame him. And let's not put this off any further, because you all know, I know what you're asking for. What do I think about Tom Holland as the new Peter Parker and the new Spider-Man? The man is absolutely flawless. Robert Downey Jr. had said in interviews is that you will get everything that you want from the web slinger and more. And other interviews and reviews had said, you know, that this is the best Spider-Man. And everyone knows that I had, you know, my own opinion of how Spidey's been portrayed over the years. Tobey Maguire's the best Peter Parker, but he's not so great as Spidey. Whereas Andrew Garfield, he's a better Spider-Man. He's good as Peter, but not quite, going to the happy medium. Tom Holland nails it on the first go. He's got this very shy, awkward nerdiness, as Parker. But as Spidey, you can't shut him up. He nailed it on the first go. And the way you just sort of see him fanboying in front of Iron Man, in front of Captain America, it was such a treat to see. And it's just when you see, remember, I got an idea from, Empire Strikes Back. You're really like, how old is this kid? But then you see him putting his plan into motion. You think, yeah. And although she was on the screen very limited time, let's talk about the new Aunt May, played by Marissa Tomei. How you doing? I know it was feeling like, but come on. At this stage, we know that Aunt May is Benjamin buttoning her way through the movies, but I'm just looking at this current version. I'm like, hey, I can't really give too much of an opinion on her performance because there wasn't really that much to work with. But I don't see any reason why she can't be a decent Aunt May. Visual effects, wow. I did feel a little bit at times when you see Spidey webbing around, it did look a little imperfect. It's better than what Sony did with all three original Spider-Man movies respectively. Amazings 1 and 2, they got better. This one, I think they got it right, and somewhere Avi Arad is seething with serrated teeth. Like, how could I lose control of it? Well, maybe if you'd actually done a decent job of Amazing 1 and 2 respectively, then we wouldn't have this situation where Kevin Feige took control out of your hands. And the way Kevin Feige's going at the moment with how Spidey's being handled, let the man do what he's doing, because he's doing an absolute first-hand job, or a first-rate job, But yeah, there's a lot of bad blood throughout this movie. Everyone's got their own agenda. Not necessarily agenda. Everyone's got their own perspective, what they think is right. And to be fair, in this movie, nobody is wrong, with the exception of Zemo for him being, a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic. You see, like I say, you see Tony's perspective, but you also see the perspective of Falcon, Cap, Scarlet Witch, and Paul Rudd. I was so glad that they got him in this as Ant-Man. It's just the exchange between him and Stark where he's shrunk himself down into the suit. He goes, "Hey, who's this speaking?" This is your conscience speaking. I know, we haven't talked in a while. Yes, yes. But, I think Warner Brothers were right to put Batman v Superman out in March because if this movie had been released at the same time as Dawn of Justice, Civil War would have walked all over Dawn of Justice. There's not really much else I can say about this movie because I think this is the, so far this year, this is the superhero movie to beat. And we've got Turtles Out of the Shadows next month, and then X-Men Apocalypse, and then we've got Doctor Strange this fall. So it's going to be an interesting ride to see where the road is going to take us, which is all going to lead to Avengers Infinity Wars. But also Robert Downey Jr. has stated in an interview he's got one Iron Man movie left in him, and that is the news I've been waiting to hear for a while. So I'd like to hear what you have to say, what you think would be a good send-off story as far as the Iron Man movie series is concerned. Because if this is going to be Robert's last one in a solo outing, then it's got to be done decent first time. And a lot of people are pointing to Armor Wars, which I think would be very, very intriguing. So, without any surprise, Captain America Civil War gets a must. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Good night from the night.